So I think I mentioned in an earlier video that our water in our apartment is contaminated. Now, we would probably have never figured this out. We do know that the water that's always been in this apartment has been hard water, because I did a water test when I was in college. We were asked to do one of those for a course. And then when we first got our Berkey, I tested the water before the Berkey filter was put in and after the Berkey filter. And every time I bought Berkey filters, I would test the water again. There's little tests that you could do to make sure the filters were working correctly. And then Berkey stopped selling the filters, and so then we bought them from another company, and the water tasted really awful. So we went out and bought another tester and tested the water, and at that point in time, it lit up red and said that our water's contaminated. I thought the tester was broke or whatever, so I sent it back and got a new one, said the same thing. We have a neighbor, asked them if they'd ever tested their water. Yes, they had, and they had a tester. They came over, tested our water, basically the same. Not much we can do. I mean, I'm not really sure at this point. I've never lived someplace where the water read out contaminated. Like I said, I do know that the city releases like a water report where everything is just a hair away from where it shouldn't be. And I do know that it tested time and time again as hard water. So often the water test and the information would just, instructions would just tell you, buy bottled water or buy a water filter. And we've had Berkeys and Purr and Brita filters for the whole entire time we've lived here, because we haven't liked the taste of the water. So now we're going to try to fix that once and for all. I have let the property owner know, and basically that's a big ignore. And I've also informed the city, and that was almost 3 weeks ago, and I've never heard a single thing back. So I've drafted a letter, and we're going to try it that way. So I ordered a Brita Elite from Walmart for $49.98. We're going to try that. The replacement filters are $18.88. These just regular Brita filters will fit in it, so we got those, a box of those on clearance for $8. There's 3 in there. Stopped at a local bakery and got some rolls. We're having company, so my husband wanted to buy these. Bananas 54 still at Walmart. Cucumbers, we went to the employee-owned grocery store, so we went about an hour away from home, and we got cucumbers for 64 cents. I got this little guy for the garden. On the deck was everything that was anything to do with summer was 50% off at Hobby Lobby. I got him for $2.50. Oranges were on rollback, $4.96 at Walmart, so I got half for me and half for the Baltimore Orioles. I just cut them in half, and then there's this little prong on our Oreo feeder that you can put them, just jab them on, and the Baltimore Orioles love that. We've got some kitty food, has stayed the same at 88 cents a can. The Indian summer applesauce at the employee-owned grocery store is $2.63 for 2 pounds, 14 ounces, and that'll last a month for my husband's lunches. The Rice Krispies are the cheapest there. This box is 7 something at Walmart, and it's $4.98 at the employee-owned grocery store. Now I'll show you the meat that we bought. Okay, here is some meat that we got at some lower prices than what we've been seeing. So hard salami was $3.27 this weekend on a rollback at Walmart, so I got 2. So that's 2 months worth of lunch meat for my husband, and it's generally almost $6 a package. We did decide to go out and get some salmon. We used to get 4 or 5 of these, and we each ate one big piece of salmon, but at $10.99 a pound, and this was less than a pound, we just decided to take one and split it in half. We have to have something. I mean, we've basically given up chicken because the chicken is like a spaghetti chicken or stringy chicken. And that is in 3 different brands that we've tried now, all owned by 2 different companies. Basically, I think there's 2, possibly 3 companies that own all the chickens in the United States of America. And that spaghetti chicken comes from growing the broilers too quick. So you're force-feeding them, fast-feeding them to get them to market. And the muscle, something in the muscle tissue or something, I'm not really sure. But anyways, what ends up happening is you go to slice your chicken and it's just stringy. It's just like it's shredded meat, and I can't stand stringy meat, either can my husband, or shredded anything. So, yeah, I'm not going to pay, you know, top price for these chickens, and they're just disgusting. And I have complained to both companies. Both companies apologized up and down the wall, but nothing. So it's not going to change as long as there's a demand for chickens to hit the market and eggs to hit the market. Producers, these large producers, are going to do whatever it takes to get them there. So I've given up on chicken, so I've gone back to salmon. So we'll have salmon, you know, a couple times a month, and my husband will have his ground beef, and I'll have one of my organic hot dogs every now and again, and a little bit of bacon, and my husband will have bratwurst and sausage and breakfast sausage and whatever he wants to eat in the meat department. I'll just stick with some salmon and my organic hot dogs, so for the summertime. And then when it's fall and winter again, I probably will be, by that time, on a plant-based diet, and my husband can continue to eat whatever meat he decides. So these were expensive, but these were always this price for 2 or 3 or 4 years when we were buying them. We just used to buy a lot more. So the ground beef is $5.99 at Aldi, where we had been buying ground beef for a while, so we went back to where we had always shopped for ground beef and bought it at $5.49 a pound. Each package is $16 and some odd cents. And so with 6 to 8 meals coming out of each package, let's just say it's 8 that we have, or 8 meals coming out of every package, we have 32 meals of ground beef, and my husband probably eats 4, maybe 5 meals a month with ground beef. So we've got a few months worth of this ground beef. And I'm going to be making him casseroles, hot dishes, whatever you want to call them, some chili, homemade sloppy joes. I'm going to try them again on him instead of that manwich. Obviously hamburger patties on the grill. Tacos, he does like tacos. I don't, but he does, and so I'm happy to fix him tacos. Just meals that use just small amounts of ground beef. We can stretch it as far as we can. And for right now, when Aldi is going to go out to $5.99, and we've just been buying Aldi ground beef for, I don't know, less than 6 months, we're just going to stick with this since it's cheaper, and we've been eating this type of ground beef from the same supplier or suppliers of this ground beef. It tastes the same, it looks the same for the last 30 years. So that's what we got in the way of meat. And what we have on hand right now is we have bacon and lots of hot dogs and breakfast sausages, 3 different types of brats or sausages for my husband all summer long on the grill. I did roast up the last 3 chickens that we have, so we have enough chicken for, and it's still, I took what I could that wasn't, really stringy and gross, but I'll just chop it up and warm it up, and we have enough for 6 salads. So, and then I did not save the carcasses for soup. So I basically given up on the company. So this meat will last us here for a few months. When I run out of salmon, which will be after a month or so, I'll go down and get 2 more salmon, and I'll continue to get my favorite hot dogs and whatever meat my husband wants. So we're doing good. I tried to get meat on special or on rollback, and I think I did a pretty good job, and just decided, I'll live with a couple of salmon. It's healthy, it's good for you. It's the only salmon that we have readily available to us in the store. We don't have a Sam's membership anymore, or Costco, or any of that. So here we are. And here is some produce that we got besides bananas, which were 54 cents a pound, and oranges, which were on a rollback for $4.96. We got 2 bunches of freshly picked spinach, and they were each $2.08 at the employee-owned grocery store an hour away from where we live. Some parsley, which was $1.01 per bunch, and I got 2 bunches for some homemade soup. And then some asparagus, which was $1.87 per bunch. So the parsley, the spinach, and the asparagus all grown in the USA. So I was real happy to get some of that fresh spinach and asparagus. And for supper tonight, my husband is having leftover meatballs with pasta sauce, pasta, and garlic toast. So that looks good to me. I'm having just the pasta noodles.